Good day, everyone. My name is Ignacio P. de Guzman III of MPE 2A, and today we will be dealing with a discussion of the Unit 1 entitled Movement Education. First and foremost, what is movement education? It is a strand of teaching or education which aims to educate individuals to develop their motor skills through physical movement. Meaning, it is the basic fundamentals to be learned by an individual to be able to understand how our body moves, how to execute specific tasks, and perform physical activities. So, how is movement education related to the curriculum? While we are discussing this particular unit or topic, we can figure out how movement education is related to physical education curriculum by giving the essential concepts in movement education. So, here it goes. As you can see, we have 4 concepts in movement education, namely, the body, space, effort, and lastly, relationship. Let's now have the body. When we study the body as part of movement education, it is not just about to study about the parts of our body as they would in a biology class. Rather, it is about knowing the framework for understanding the body in a scientific, especially physics-related manner. We begin by learning about body shapes or silhouettes such as round or asymmetrical. However, we also learn about how the different parts of our body play a role in the actual physics of the movements we are performing. If we are doing a cartwheel, we might learn to classify our body parts into those that apply force as part of the movement. The final category of the body in movement education is whole body actions. These body actions consist of non-locomotor skills, which are motions performed on a fixed base of support where the body essentially stays in the same position. These actions are based on 3 primary types of body movements: a stretch, a curl, and a twist. The next category is locomotor skills, where the body moves from one place to another. Gallops, skips, and jumps are all examples of locomotor skills. Finally, there are manipulative skill actions, which involve using the body to control an action, such as a racket or a basketball bat. Skills such as catching or dribbling a ball are also manipulative skills. Next, we have the space. Space is an important concept in movement education. Learning about space in terms of movement education involves knowing directions, such as up and down, and left and right. However, space is usually taught to be based on 3 different planes: the sagittal, transverse, and frontal plane. As you can see, the sagittal plane is the imaginary plane that divides the body into the left and right sides. Movements along this plane are forward and backward, like bowing to your partner or shooting a ball. The frontal plane divides the body into front and back planes, like the front and back of a sandwich. Movements along the frontal plane are sideways, similar to opening and closing a door. Finally, there is the transverse plane, which involves twisting movements such as doing a log roll with your body. For these movements to happen, the body needs to apply effort to make the movement occur in different ways. For example, you can apply different amounts of effort to make a movement fast or slow, or even accelerate through a movement. Additionally, you can use effort to make a movement more hard and tense or soft. If you want, you can make a movement very direct and focused like a gymnast on the balance beam, or more indirect like children scattering on the playground. Thus, that is how movement education is related to the physical education curriculum, because movement is the cornerstone of physical education. Let's now proceed to movement education in physical education class. The most well-known goal of any physical education class is to promote movement. But there is more to this aspiration than breaking students out of a stationary lifestyle. PE class teach students skills that they will use throughout their entire lives. Thank you for listening. I will now give the time to Ma'am Jeremy Galang for the continuation of the discussion.
Good day, my name is Galang Jeremy S. from BPED 2A. I'm here to discuss to you the movement education framework. But first, what is come to your mind when you hear the movement education? So movement education is instruction in the improvement of a person's motor skill through physical movement. So in the 18s, movement education has been recognized as part of dance education until such the time from the 1960s to 1980s that it found its way into physical education and other exercise classes. The movement framework engine makes a program run. From the movement framework, the physical educator develops learning experience designed to help the student to achieve the national standard. The framework is made up of 4 aspects: body, space, effort, and relationships. So, movement education really strives to go further than the traditional gym class despite that it is already under the umbrella of physical education. Body, relationship, space, and effort are the 4 key concepts considered within the context of movements. So next is, it is not the usual way of naming the body parts as they were used to do in biology class. Body shapes or silhouettes such as round or symmetrical are the first things that students need to know. Hence, they need also to learn the functions of different body parts in the actual physics of the movements. So it means the framework for understanding the body in scientific and physics-related manner must be taught to further enhance the knowledge of students in learning the body as part of movement education. The importance or the main purpose of this is to increase body-mind activates and through dance and games to make physical activity fun and creative. That increases physical activity and the health of students in an enjoyable way that students like to participate in. So, let us now give the time to Ms. Christine Reyes to the continuation of our topic.
Good day po, I'm Christine P. Reyes from BPED 2A. I'm here to discuss the movement in physical education and development of a curricular approach in 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. But first, what is come to your mind when you hear the word movement? From the word itself, move, it is all about moving or an act of changing physical location and position, or of having this change, and this is act or process of moving, especially change of place, position, and posture. And now, what is physical education? Physical education can be defined as the education that deals with the all-round development of an individual through carefully selected physical activities. Now, let's proceed to our topic. What is movement in physical education? The fundamental movement skills to be developed through health and physical education include locomotor and non-locomotor skills, object control skills. Movement in physical education. This consists of the movement of the body, coordination, the use of motor skill areas, and reflex action. In physical education, movement is very important because everything you do requires you to make move. Okay, let's proceed to the example of locomotor and non-locomotor skills. Number 1 is rolling, 2 is balancing, 3 is sliding, 4 is jogging, 5 is running, 6 is leaping, 7 is jumping, 8 is hopping, 9 is dodging, 10 is galloping, 11 is skipping. Next is the example of object control skills. Number 1 is bouncing. Number 2 is throwing. Number 3 is catching. Number 4 is kicking. And number 5 is striking. Development of a curricular approach in 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. A framework that could aid the teachers in the application of the movement concept in 3 learning domains is the desire of those working at this time. They are subdivided into 3 categories: locomotor, non-manipulative, and manipulative skills. Movement concepts are analogous to adverbs. They describe how an action is performed. They are also subdivided into 3 categories: space awareness, effort, and relationships. Space, where the body is moving; effort, the quality with which the movement is executed; and relationships, the connections that occur as the body moves with object. The second one is growth of movement education brought to the forefront of elementary physical education, or the earliest inklings of movement education occurred in the late 80s in the field of dance. The concept really didn't gain popularity and become known as movement education until the 1960s, 1970s, and into the 1980s. Number 3 is a research-based, scientific basis result from the fitness boom of 1970s contributed to the study of movement. Let us now give the time to Ms. Celis for the continuation of our topic.
Good day everyone, this is Celis, I'm Marie from BPED 2A. So for today's discussion, I will be discussing 2 different topics. The first one, fitness overshadows movement education. And the second one, the revival of movement education. Let us first now start with our first topic, fitness overshadows movement education. Before we start our discussion with this topic, let us first define the words fitness, overshadows, and movement education. According to Oxford Languages, fitness is the condition of being physically fit and healthy. If we think that our physical state or physical aspect is capable of doing different kinds of tasks, then we are physically fit. And that's fitness, the condition of being physically fit. The next word is overshadows. Overshadow means appear much more prominent or important than. Let us have an example. Love overshadows money. It means that love is more important than money. So that's overshadows. Last one, movement education. It is a focus on teaching students to develop motor skills through physical movement. So in short, movement education is the study of a person's development of motor skills through physical movement. But why does it say that fitness overshadows movement education? Because during 1970s, fitness boomed and it became more important than studying the person's motor skills through physical activity. It resulted a solid scientific contribution basis to the movement education. In short, movement education faded from popularity as other curriculum models that were introduced and became appealing to the fitness and activity. Since fitness became more important than studying movement education, people during this time tried to revive the movement of education. The essence of movement education has been brought back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, when the development of national content standards for physical education to place, the basic movement concept must be known to students in order for them to do the basic movement patterns appropriately. So the question is, why movement education was made? So it was made for the students to do basic movement properly. But what are these basic movement patterns or fundamental movement patterns? These are patterns that allow the body to be coordinated in those simple motion. Weight transfer, forward motion, up and down motion, and coordinating upper and lower body movement. So the example of the fundamental movement patterns are walk, run, skip, jump, throw, balance, catch, kick, strike, and stork. What are the benefits of learning this motion? Mental clarity can be sustained by keeping the body active. It increases blood flow to the brain, thus it makes activity vital to both learning and physical and neurological health. So in short, learning these movements help us with our physical, mental, and intellectual aspect. Thank you for listening.